South Korea's birth rate fell to just 0.68 in 2024, the lowest in human history. In Japan, schools are shutting down. In Italy, whole villages are disappearing. And in nearly every developed country, birth rates are now below replacement level. So why are people not having children anymore? And what happens when a country just stops having kids? Hi, I'm Samantha, and this is Context-Wise, where I aim to make complex topics clear. For decades, we've been warned of an overpopulation crisis. But now, across the world, countries are bracing themselves for population collapse. And it's a problem because fewer babies means fewer workers, fewer taxpayers, and more elderly people who need care. But policy changes and government initiatives don't seem to be reversing the trend. So what's going on? In most developed countries, the average age of first-time mothers is now 30 or older, and the later people start, the fewer children they want and biologically can have. Women are choosing to delay motherhood in favor of pursuing higher education, fulfilling careers, and achieving financial security. On top of that, many people are worried they won't be able to give a child a good life in the world as it is now. In the UK, for many families, full-time childcare can cost more than a mortgage or rent. In the US, having a child can mean losing your job or healthcare. If having a baby means financial ruin, many are understandably opting out. Over the past 2 decades, South Korea has spent more than $200 billion on fertility initiatives, including cash bonuses, subsidized childcare, IVF, and housing support for new parents. In Scandinavia, where countries offer world-leading parental leave, funded childcare, and flexible work hours, birth rates are still falling. So it's not just about money, it's also about life design and what people are actually willing to give up in order to have children. For many women, motherhood today often means being overworked and under-supported. In many cultures, women are still expected to shoulder the bulk of childcare and household responsibility, as well as being expected to have a career and bring in an additional income. In fact, researchers now talk about second shift syndrome, where women finish one job at the office only to start another one at home. In surveys, women say they'd have more children if they had more time, more support, and more equality at home. In fact, having fewer babies has contributed to the gender pay gap closing. When women have fewer children, they experience less of a wage penalty because they are less likely to reduce their working hours or take extended time out of the workforce. In Japan, nearly 35% of men in their 30s have never dated. That's not just a statistic, it's a shift in how society functions. And this is where the fertility conversation moves from a demographic crisis to a relationship crisis. A lot of women today are single, not because they don't want love or family, but because in a world where women are more educated, more financially independent, and more emotionally self-aware than ever before, it can be difficult to find an equal partner. The dating gap is wide. Men are less likely to attend university, more likely to live at home, and less likely to seek therapy. In a dating economy that increasingly rewards emotional intelligence, many women are struggling to find a partner they are willing to accept. So some women are opting out not just of motherhood, but out of the whole structure around it. The script used to be, grow up, get married, have kids. Now, many people are asking, do I actually want that? Some fear climate collapse, others want freedom, travel, creative work, a quiet life. In surveys, a growing share of Gen Z women say they're unsure whether they want children at all. It may not be an outright rejection of love or family, but a recalibration of what life is for. Low birth rates means fewer workers, more retirees, pressure on pensions, housing, and healthcare. To tackle this, some governments are turning to immigration to fill the gap, others are investing in robotics and AI. Can this be fixed? Maybe. What parents need is affordable childcare, flexible jobs, housing security, medical leave, and above all, a culture that values care work as much as paid work. But unless those systems change, the choice not to have children will continue to be as rational as the choice to have them. So the follow-up question is, do falling birth rates actually need to be fixed? In the short to medium term, yes, because systems collapse without people. Pension funds, healthcare, military, education, all depend on younger generations. Fewer workers also means less productivity, which will shrink GDP, fueling further inequality. And tech won't or can't fix everything fast enough, but in the long term, some argue this may be a natural correction. We've overpopulated the planet, depleting resources and creating a climate crisis. Fewer humans means fewer emissions and more sustainability. And philosophically, not everyone believes the species must grow endlessly. This topic is an interesting one for me as I'm a mother with 2 young children, and while I'm very glad that I chose motherhood, it would be misleading to say that it didn't come at a price. The day-to-day work of raising young children can be very demanding, but knowing my kids as people and loving them as I do means that the work of trying to raise them well feels worthwhile. But if I had no context and no lived experience of my inner world and my inner joy and only saw my life from the outside, I'm not sure that I would say that motherhood was worth it. To be clear, I'm just sharing my own personal experience. I firmly believe it should be an individual's right to decide whether or not to have children. I don't consider it a moral obligation or an economic duty or a measure of worth.